It's not every day you overhear two of the world's most powerful men casually discussing how to live to 100. But here we are. Apparently, when you've consolidated power, the next logical step is to never give it up, ever. This isn't just a fantasy from a Bond movie. The super rich are pouring billions into cracking the code of eternal life. Companies with names like Altos Labs are attracting tech moguls and Nobel laureates, all chasing the same dream to make death optional. The core idea is cellular reprogramming, winding back the biological clock of a cell to make it young again. In mice, it seems to work. They've reversed age-related decline in tissues, which is great if you're a mouse. The tiny, insignificant, microscopic catch? The same process that makes cells young can also, well, give them cancer. It turns out that the line between rejuvenation and uncontrolled cell growth is uncomfortably thin. Details, details. Then there are the biohackers, like tech millionaire Brian Johnson, who spends millions a year to have the body of an 18-year-old. His regimen involves over 100 pills a day and a diet of super veggie mush. Sounds fun, but if pills aren't your thing, how about something a little more gothic? I'm talking about parabiosis. That's the fancy term for getting transfusions of blood, or at least blood plasma, from young donors. Yes, for thousands of dollars, some companies would hook you up with the blood of the young. The FDA kindly asked them to stop. Brian Johnson even tried it with his teenage son. He stopped after finding no benefits. Shocking. So if the weird stuff doesn't work, what about the fundamentals? Let's talk about telomeres. These are the protective caps at the end of our chromosomes. Every time a cell divides, they get a little shorter. When they get too short, the cell enters old age. So why not just make them longer again? Oh, right. Cancer again. Cancer cells are famous for activating telomerase to achieve their own twisted form of immortality. Okay, new plan. What if we don't try to make cells younger, but just get rid of the old broken ones? Enter senolytics, drugs designed to hunt down and destroy these senescent or zombie cells that accumulate as we age. In animal studies, clearing these cells can improve a whole host of age-related diseases. This is actually one of the most promising fields. The catch? Well, we're still figuring out the long-term side effects in humans, but who cares about the long-term when you're aiming for forever? Of course, why treat the symptoms of aging when you can edit the source code? Let's talk about genetic engineering. With tools like CRISPR, scientists can make precise edits to DNA. The dream is to find the genes that control lifespan and tweak them. The problem is that aging is incredibly complex, controlled by hundreds of genes. Tweak one and you might get unexpected upgrades. Alright, fixing the body is too messy. What if we just leave it behind? Welcome to the world of mind uploading. The idea is simple. Scan your brain, neuron by neuron, and create a perfect digital simulation that can live forever in a computer. This raises a teensy philosophical question. Is that simulation really you? Or just a copy of you, while the original you still dies? Also, living in the metaverse for eternity with pop-up ads and terrible graphics? Some fates are worse than death. And finally, there's the option for procrastinators, cryonics. Can't solve aging now? Just freeze yourself and let the future deal with it. The main challenge is that when you freeze tissue, the water inside forms ice crystals, which basically turn your cells into mush. So far, we have a 100% failure rate in reanimating any frozen mammal. But hey, it's a great way to sell expensive subscriptions. But this all leads to the biggest, most awkward question. Who gets to be immortal? Let's be honest. These treatments will be astronomically expensive. This isn't about saving humanity, it's about creating a new, eternal upper class. And even if you could live forever, would you want to? Imagine the sheer, crushing boredom of eternity. You'd outlive all your friends, your family, your pets. You'd see every trend come, go, and come back again. And again. And what about the planet? If no one ever leaves, where do we put everyone? Immortality would be an ecological nightmare. Society would stagnate. Why would anyone in power ever retire? New ideas would be crushed by the sheer weight of eternal incumbency. And here's the ultimate cosmic joke. Even if you become immortal, the universe isn't. Good luck surviving the heat death of everything. So, the quest for immortality isn't really a scientific endeavor to benefit humanity. It's the ultimate vanity project. It's a denial of the one thing that gives life meaning, urgency, and beauty, the fact that it ends. Perhaps instead of trying to conquer death, we should focus on living better, more fulfilling lives in the time we have. But what do I know? Maybe they'll figure it out and I'll be eating my words in the year 2525. If you want to keep up with the bizarre ways billionaires are trying to avoid the inevitable, you know what to do. Subscribe to Cappy Brain because your lifespan is finite, but our content is, well, it's weekly. See you next time. The obsession isn't new, of course. For millennia, we've told stories and built monuments to deny our own mortality. From the Philosopher's Stone to the Fountain of Youth, we've always been suckers for a good immortality scam. The only difference now is that the alchemists wear Patagonia vests and call their elixirs disruptive biotechnology. It forces us to ask what we truly value. Is the goal to extend the quantity of life at any cost, even the cost of our humanity? Or is it to find meaning, joy, and connection within the beautiful, temporary existence we are given? The fear of death is powerful, but maybe the dream of immortality is just the ultimate fear of missing out. Let's not forget organ replacement. Why fix old parts when you could just print new ones? This brings up the ship of Theseus problem. If you replace every organ in your body, are you still you? And again, this technology would create a bizarre marketplace, a world where the rich can afford new parts while others can't. Of course, nature has already figured out a form of immortality. Meet the immortal jellyfish. When it gets old or sick, it can revert back to its juvenile polyp stage and start over, which sounds great until you realize it has no brain and its life is probably very dull. Lobsters are also biologically immortal. They don't die of old age. They just get bigger until something else eats them or they get stuck in their own shell. So, nature's version of immortality comes with some serious downsides. Maybe a limited lifespan with a complex brain isn't such a bad deal after all. The science is fascinating, but the ethics are a minefield. The philosophy is a headache, and the reality is still a very long way off. So for now, maybe we should just enjoy the ride. It's a short one, but the view is incredible. Because the alternative to aging isn't living forever, it's dying young. And that's not a great business model. The preciousness of these moments comes from knowing they won't last forever. Chasing immortality is a distraction from the real challenge, living a mortal life with grace, kindness, and a sense of humor. If you enjoyed this existential crisis, consider subscribing for more slightly depressing but hopefully funny content. It's a strange loop. We spend the time we have worrying about not having enough of it. The industry of anti-aging is built on this anxiety. A multi-billion-dollar market selling hope in a jar. Death is not a disease to be cured. It's a fundamental and maybe even necessary part of the definition of life. The cycles of growth, decay, and renewal are what make the natural world so dynamic and resilient. Removing ourselves from that cycle doesn't make us gods, it just makes us unnatural. A static world, ruled by the same ancient figures forever, isn't a utopia, it's a dystopia. Thanks for watching. The sheer biological complexity is staggering. We barely understand how everything works now, let alone how to stop it from breaking down. Aging might not be a single bugs we can patch, but a core feature of the entire operating system. Programmed cell death and finite lifespans were crucial evolutionary developments. It's how species adapt and change. An immortal species is a stagnant one, unable to evolve to meet new threats. It's an evolutionary dead end. What about memory capacity? Can a human brain even store thousands of years of memories? Or would we just start overwriting our childhood? The psychological weight of accumulated trauma, loss, and boredom over centuries would be unimaginable. So, maybe the ultimate life hack isn't to live forever, but to accept that we don't have to. The social divide would become a biological one. A chasm between the eternal have-is and the mortal have-nots. A life without genuine physical sensation, without stakes, without an ending. Is it really living at all? The cycle of generations, of passing on knowledge and love, is a core part of the human story. Immortality would break that story, leaving individuals as isolated, eternal relics. The quest for more time often distracts from the quest for more meaning in the time we have. If you agree that a life of chilling in a hot spring is better than 100 pills a day, hit the like button. In the end, our connections and our stories are our true immortality. A good story needs an ending. A good life does too. Our legacy isn't in our own survival, but in what we leave behind for others. Maybe the greatest mystery isn't how to avoid the end, but how to embrace it. Stay curious, and more importantly, stay mortal. The interconnectedness of our biology is a nightmare for simple solutions. Improving one thing can worsen 10 others. What we call aging is 1,000 different processes, all woven together. There is no single off switch. The desire to believe is strong, and a whole industry thrives on selling us the illusion of control over the inevitable. We have gotten much better at extending health span, the number of healthy years we live. That's a noble and achievable goal. Extending maximum lifespan, however, seems to be a fundamentally harder problem, perhaps even an impossible one. Is another 50 years of frailty and dependence really a victory? The conversation should be less about immortality and more about dignity. How to live well, and how to die well when the time comes. Its transient nature is what makes it beautiful. Let us know your thoughts on this bizarre quest, and we'll see you in the next Mercifully Finite video. The obsession with controlling life often prevents us from actually living it. A life is a story defined by its beginning, middle, and end. Removing the end makes the rest of it lose its shape. Imagine the terms and conditions for immortality. Clause 138b, the provider is not responsible for existential ennui. The ingredients for a good life are already known. They're just not as profitable as selling a fantasy. The gulf of experience would make true connection impossible. Immortality would be the loneliest existence. Our minds are plastic, but can they really adapt over 1,000 years? Or would we become permanent relics of the era we were born in? Sometimes, the wisest choice is to know when to stop. to accept the limits of our biology and our place in the cosmos, to find the infinite within the finite. That might be the real secret. Don't waste your life trying not to die. The resource question is a big one. A single immortal consumes infinitely more resources than a mortal. There is a wisdom in cycles that the linear pursuit of more can never understand. Personal identity is also a problem. Are you the same person at age 500 as you were at 20? Not even close. The weight of endless goodbyes would be a crushing burden. The focus on a mythical future distracts from the very real and present now. This moment is the only one we're guaranteed. Chasing forever means you miss it. History's track record on this is pretty consistent. Maybe death isn't the enemy we think it is. It's the ultimate deadline, the thing that motivates us to create, to love, and to make our mark. A finite life can be a complete one. So go ahead, billionaires. Spend your fortunes chasing forever. The rest of us will be busy living. What's the point of gaining the whole world and all the time in it if you lose your soul? Our heroes are not the ones who live forever, but the ones who make the most of the time they have. Our impact, like ripples in a pond, continues long after we are gone. That is a form of immortality that is real and achievable and worth striving for. The mystery of what comes next is perhaps the greatest adventure of all. For more answers to questions you didn't know you had, you know what to do. The drive to cheat death unites pharaohs, emperors, and modern autocrats. To age is to accumulate experience, wisdom, and a whole lot of stories. It's a privilege, not a disease. Transformation is a key part of life, and the final transformation is no exception. Letting go of the impossible pursuit of forever allows you to embrace the possible joy of now. Thanks for watching. Now go and